There are three different types of relief that we are called sort of fear-based relief or humanitarian protections. And they stem from primarily from the 1980 Refugee Act, which established a way for refugees to gain status in the United States. So the long story short is that this is a very, very onerous burden for asylum seekers that they have to establish. That they have this fear that it's for a specific reason, that their government won't protect them. And as you note in that list of race, religion, nationality, etc., gender is not included in that list. So it's been a legal debate since the passage of the 1980 Refugee Act to understand where do women's claims fit in. And there's a reason for this. The 1980 Refugee Act is premised on our international treaty obligations following the horrors of World War II and the adoption of the 1951 Refugee Convention. So the convention and the language of who is a refugee, was established right after the war, and at a time when women's rights were not necessarily considered human rights. So it's understandable who was drafting the treaty at that time, why women's claims and gender violence might not have been at the forefront. The Trump administration stacked the immigration courts with restrictionist judges who were almost exclusively prosecutors before, with incredibly high denial rates for women, but for all cases. Some judges denying upwards of 90% of cases. That is not the rule of law. That is not justice. So that is, no matter what amount of reform, short of actually changing the immigration courts, there will always be too high of a hurdle. But the most, egregious policies of the Trump administration are still being carried out by this administration that are having a huge impact on women. And also are just completely cutting off access to the U.S. asylum system for anybody who's coming to the U.S. seeking safety right now. This is including the migrant protection protocols, which I mentioned. And just this morning, some breaking news, the administration did issue a new termination memorandum, which is basically a memo from the Department of Homeland Security terminating the NPP program. Which this will, hopefully be upheld, and we won't see this MPP or the Remain in Mexico program see the light of day again. We're very, very hopeful for that because that policy that trapped, tens of thousands of asylum seekers in Mexico, where they were subject to horrific harms, hopefully will not see the light of day. But many of those harms are still being perpetrated against people under this Title 42 expulsions policy that was initiated, under the pretext of public health by the Trump administration and has been adopted by the Biden administration, where over 1 million people have been expelled either back to Mexico or their home countries with no opportunity to express a fear of return.